All right. Yeah, tighten that up a little bit.
Bring that back just
Okay.
Just
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. So, another episode. We would like to welcome you guys to the Mike and Danny Show, where we talk about what we like, and we don't care if you do or not.
No.
On this week's episode, we're going to talk about the Miami Hurricanes football team reaching new lows. We're going to talk about the HBO series, The Watchmen. And we're going to talk about Carolina Panthers football.
Panthers.
All right. We are recording live on Saturday night, November, I think it's the 29th, 23rd, 22nd. It's a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Saturday night, November 23rd.
Yeah.
Miami just lost a game to Fake Injury University, the Florida International University Panthers. Just beat Miami 30-24.
AKA Fake Injury University after tonight.
We want to get that out there so everyone knows. It was disgusting. Fucking Butch Davis after the game. Let's talk about that for a second before we get into the actual game. Because I'm pretty mad about Butch. Butch in his press conference said he didn't think that it was wrong for his players to fake the injuries they faked. We should check the injury history of his team this year, and that you would see a lot of hamstring injuries. I guess, people hurt their hamstrings by existing. When you play at FIU, if you exist, if you actually breathe oxygen and you're alive, then you're at risk for a hamstring injury at all times, and that's exactly how it went down.
I've never seen flopping in my life in college football. Is what I saw tonight. It was ridiculous, man. I've never seen it in my whole entire life.
That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen, man.
I hope that does not become a trend, Danny. It better not.
I feel like if anyone with any influence watched the game tonight that makes rules, that you'll never see that again. Like, there will be flags from now on. After tonight's game,
they did start sending those players off the field,
which was great.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it took them 4 times to do it, but they finally started doing it. Like,
right.
Okay, you got to leave, man. You can't
right.
keep playing. Which actually kind of is puzzling. Like, why that didn't happen initially. Why that wasn't after you saw the first injury.
Right. And it was
a smart guy who's a ref would be like, okay, this is bullshit. Anybody on that referee crew should have said and opened their mouth like, this is clearly bullshit, and they needed to be going off the field. It took until the fourth quarter for that to happen. But that's neither here nor there, and that really, in my opinion, I mean, it impacted the game, but it really shouldn't have mattered.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't have even been that close. Like, we're favored by 18.5 points going into this game, right? This is the third game in 2019 where Miami has lost a game where they have been favored by Las Vegas odds makers as 2 touchdown favorites. I think Virginia Tech was one, Georgia Tech was one, and now you have the FIU game where they were 18.5 point favorites and lost by 6. And in the Central Michigan game, they were favored by 30.5 points and only won by 5. That one, we won the game, but I mean, after the game, I remember a lot of people feeling like that really wasn't.
Can I put a disclaimer out there real fast? So I've really not been a college football watcher. I'm mostly an NFL watcher, but I need to watch college football. Everybody's saying, it's the hype, it's better than NFL football. So I chose to watch the Canes. So his history with the Canes is deeper than mine.
Oh yeah, I've been a fan for a long time.
Even though I used to rock Cane shit back in the day because it was almost like it was a fashion statement to rock some, So I'm back around to watching Miami football. Now this deep rooted game that I didn't know was the history behind these two teams playing each other. According to Danny and everything I've been seeing on Twitter, it should not have went down like it went down tonight. Go ahead, Dan.
No, I mean it's not a rivalry. Like, I mean,
It sound like
I
it is
guess
to me.
I guess now it is because they won tonight.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not even lying. Like, dude, like all week, like I've been waiting all year. Like, I've been nervous about Miami all year, right? Like every week, I'm on pins and needles watching the game. Like, this is fucked up. But even against, like, okay, Bethune-Cookman, obviously, like, I was not fucking worried about that game. That was the first game you ever came over and watched
they
with
just
me.
like
63-0. Like, had
I
a
was
great
like,
time, right?
Yeah.
But the next week is Central Michigan, right? I'm not remote, like, I was a little worried about Central Michigan just because I had heard things. But I was literally worried less, like, okay, we were down 23-3 to FIU. I remember, like, you know, we're down like 20 points, right?
Right.
I'm still at that point, like I'm worried, but I'm like, there's just no way. Like we're not gonna lose to FIU. Like we just are not gonna do that. They fucking stink, dude. They're terrible. Like
Right.
they're not a good team, and we're Miami and they're FIU, and like it just doesn't mathematically add up. Like the talent on our team versus the lack of talent on their team, it's glaring. Look, man, so many fucking bad things happen tonight. Like somehow we managed to get outcoached and outplayed versus a team that wasn't as talented or didn't really have as good of coaching. I mean, but I guess they did have better coaching. And that's because they won the game. I mean, it's just all very.
It ain't supposed to happen.
It's just this is one of those losses where like. We had things positively building for us in recruiting over this week.
There you go, that's one.
Where we had a couple of kids silent commit to us. And this is where that shit comes back and bites you in the ass, that those commits were silent. There's a reason those commits were silent. The kids are telling the coaches that they want to wait for their moment when they're ready. But what they're really doing is hedging their bets. They're waiting on other offers. They're waiting on other things to happen, and they're watching your team. They're seeing how you perform on the field. They're doing their due diligence as they're entrusting you and your school with creating a brand name for them and promoting their future athletically. And when they see a team that is a traditional college football powerhouse, the one and only University of Miami Hurricanes, I feel like it sucks doing this right now, but the one and only University of Miami Hurricanes, you're supposed to beat FIU, man. You just can't lose to FIU, man. Like and when these kids inevitably who are silent commits, right? When they end up not making their commitments public and they don't come to Miami, this is the reason. This is the reason. This is it. This is what you get. This is what happens when you don't win, man. It's not hard, man. Like this is a game like, and we've come out of bye weeks like 3 times this year. One was against Carolina in Chapel Hill where we lost by a field goal. It was the second game of the year. Shouldn't have lost that game. They're 5-6 right now. I mean, they're gonna maybe make a bowl game, but they're not a good football team. Miami's better than them, and we still lost that one. Came out and we looked like shit. The second bye week was that for Virginia Tech, I believe. I believe it was Virginia Tech, and we were down 21 or 28-0 after the first quarter. Bye week. So what happened there? Carolina, I think we were down 14-3 after the first quarter. And then come to tonight, FIU on the road. But is it a road game? Is it not? It's in Miami. There's both fans there. Not a long travel. You're in town all week. You have 2 weeks to prepare for a shitty fucking Conference USA team with no talent. You're down 10-0 after the first quarter. You come out and look woefully unprepared. This is bad.
You disappointed us.
This was bad, man. This is gonna be bad for probably like a year or two, man. This is gonna be one of those losses where you like your team was turning the corner. You had just taken, in the old cliche, 2 steps forward. This is your 1 step back. This is a big step back. This is one of those losses where you're like, you're gonna lose kids.
Right.
Those borderline kids who are kind of like, well, I like Miami, but they're front runners and they want to win now. They don't want to wait. They don't want to build anything. The kids that are talented, these are talented kids, and they're good. You're gonna lose all these kids with this type of performance, and it's a shame, man. It's a shame, man, because this was the moment. This week and next week were the moments where you close out, you go on that 5-game winning streak,
Right.
into the bowl season. You're 8-4, got a chance to win that bowl game. You can sell the turnaround like, yeah, we bought in. The team is changing now, and now all that's over. The honeymoon, like we've had a lot of bad losses this year. We've had some good wins. I'm not going to crap on Manny. Louisville was a very good win.
It was a good win.
Florida State, they're not what they normally are. They're still a super talented team, and we handled them. That was a good win. Pitt on the road, stealing that game late. All right, an ugly game and bad weather. We stole that one. Good win, right? Virginia. They were ranked number 20, came into Miami. We were 2-3 at the time. 2-3. We weren't even 500. And they were 4-1. They were rolling. And we were reeling. And we beat them. Good win, Manny. 3-4 strong wins this year. But then you look at the negative, right? Georgia Tech has only won 3 games this year. And one was against Miami. One was against NC State. One was against an FCS team. Virginia Tech was a bad loss at the time, but that looks a lot less bad now because they're kind of rolling. Florida is a game. We should have won the game. We had the game won. We don't have a kicker, and Jeff Thomas muffs a punt. Jeff Thomas drops touchdown in the end zone. Carolina game, that was an awful loss. Carolina and Georgia Tech were awful, but the worst was tonight. This was the worst loss that I remember as a fan. I mean, Clemson 58-0 in 2015 was a bad loss. That fired Al Golden, but Clemson was Clemson. They were the number 2 ranked team in the country that day, and FIU was not ranked.
So, being they lost tonight to a team that they shouldn't have lost to tonight, what do you think they need to do? What do you think needs to happen?
I mean,
what would you like to see happen?
I'm not trying to be knee-jerky right now.
Not knee-jerky?
Yeah, because, I'm very emotional. I'm very upset right now. I'm not going to lie to you, man.
Go ahead. Just let
I guess I would say if you're, gun to my head, like, people are mad and people are upset and there has to be something done. You can't do anything right now because you're at the end of the season. You still have a bowl game to play, and you still have Duke next week. So it's not like you're going to make any coaching changes right now. You absolutely 100% have to fire Blake James, the athletic director. I think that is, without a doubt, number 1. That's the most paramount decision you can make. Number 2 is Jennifer Strawley, who is an associate athletic director, and she's like in charge of football operations. I don't remember her actual official title, but I'm not saying she needs to be fired from the university. I think she does a fine job with what she does there, but I don't think she needs to be anywhere around football. I'm not saying females don't belong around football, because I'm not sexist or anything like that. I don't think that's the case. I just don't think she has a particularly strong knowledge of the game, and I don't think she's doing a very good job. I think she does a very good job with most of the other sports that she oversees and has influence upon. I just don't think football needs to be one of them, and I think you need to hire an athletic director with a football background because you have qualified individuals already at the university who oversee the other sports, and they're running efficiently, and they need to stay in place. And they're doing a very good job, but the football program is not being run efficiently or effectively, and you have to make some kind of change because it's just not working. And you got to get rid of Blake James. That's really what it is. That's just what it is. You got to get rid of him. You got to hire somebody new. And the reason you're doing that is because Blake James rushed into the Manny Diaz hire. There's numerous things I could say about the back room dealings of the coaching search this past December and what really went down, you know. But there are rumors and innuendo, and I don't have any actual concrete facts. I've just heard things, and not going to spit them out on here because it could all just be hearsay, but Blake James nonetheless did not search. That's a fact. That's a fact. He hired a guy the same day that the coach retired. You don't do that. You don't do that. That's a knee-jerk. That would be like me coming on here and saying, fire Manny Diaz. That's a knee-jerk reaction. That's not okay. Right? Because I wouldn't be being thorough if I did that. I wouldn't be making an educated decision. I wouldn't be weighing it all out. And I don't think Manny needs to get fired. I think Manny's doing as best as he can with what he was given. He chose poorly with Enos and Baker. But I think he's a good coach. I really do. I think he has the potential to be a good coach. He understands Miami. He needs a real offensive coordinator. I don't think he knew what he was getting into with Dan Enos. I think that the offense Enos promised him and what he's seeing on the field are completely different things. And I think that Blake Baker runs a totally different defense. And I've said this before on another podcast. Blake Baker at Louisiana Tech ran a defense with Jalen Ferguson, who was a second-round pick for the Ravens, I think, or somebody like that. He had 17 and a half sacks last year. But what they did with Jalen Ferguson was they set him up as a stand-up edge rusher in a 3-4 flex type of defense. Miami doesn't run that kind of stuff. Miami runs a 4-3 defense, right? Greg Russo's a defensive end. Trayvon Hill should be your other defensive end. You don't need too much of Scott Patchen, right? You need John Garvin in there too. John Garvin should be your guy rotating in. You don't need Patchen in there. You get pressure upfield. You rush 4 constantly. Blake does not run what Manny runs, and it was a bad fit. They run similar systems, but not the exact system. Blake was a bad hire, man. Like, it's all coming to the light right now at the end of the season. Like, John Russo, or a little bit of Greg Russo. How dare I? I'm all discombobulated from this loss. I've also had a lot to drink, but Greg Russo, he should not be spying the quarterback on 3rd and long. He should not be playing as a stand-up edge rusher. Like, it gives the offensive lineman an opportunity for them to get in Greg's chest. Greg's 6'6" and 260. He's not built like that yet. He's a year or two away from being like the man. He's young now. He's got speed and quickness, and he's strong naturally. And like, we're not playing to his advantage, man. I'm being a little long-winded here. I don't like the coordinator hires, Mike. They upset me greatly, and I'm not happy with them. And we need to make changes. We need to probably fire our AD. I don't think Manny needs to be fired. I'm not ready to say that. I'm not gonna go say fire Manny. I believe in Manny. I think he can turn this whole thing around. But he needs a new offensive coordinator who's going to run a modern spread. And I also think we need a new defensive coordinator who's going to run more of what Manny wants to run. I mean, shit, let Manny run the defense. But, I mean, you got a lot of responsibilities as head coach. You don't have really time to be running the defense. I don't know.
True.
Anyway, this was a...
It was a shitty game across the board from the coaching down to the players. It was just... A lot of things could have been done better tonight.
This was a bad game. It looks like the players didn't really appreciate the opponent, right? Like, they didn't respect them as much as they should have.
Right. Yeah. All the games I've seen, Miami wins. Tonight, the first time I've seen them lose.
Yeah, it's fucked up, too. Like, the only game I'm not worried about, like I told you to come over, we cooked out steaks. You know what I mean? Like, we're hanging out. We got a decent bottle of bourbon. We're hanging out. You know, I literally was not worried all week. It's FIU. Like, who would be worried about losing to FIU?
Right.
Golly, man. This was a bad one. And this is a loss that, you know, so college football is obviously all about recruiting and relationships. This is going to be thrown in our face for the next, I don't know how many years. Until we get a big win.
Right.
Like, until we get a big-time win, they're going to be able to throw this at us. Once we get a big win, like a big-time win, and the program is on the upswing before the big win, like, you can't be like 5-5 and like go beat the number 5 team in the country. That shit doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
they're gonna be like, okay, well, it doesn't really matter. You're 6-5. Like, you need to be like 8-1, 9-0, and go beat a top 5 team. When you do that, then motherfuckers will stop talking about FIU. It doesn't fucking matter anymore. FIU will be an afterthought, but that's a long way. We don't have any. Like, there's no opportunities right now. Next week is Duke, and then we're playing in a shitty bowl game. Shitty bowl game. The Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas. And before the game tonight, I'm talking with this guy. I'm like, guess what, man? We're going to fucking Nashville. We're going, man. Mancation. Me, you, and the boys. We're linking up. We're going out there having a weekend. That shit ain't fucking happening. We ain't going to that bowl game, man.
No.
We're trash. Anyway, I want to wrap it up and say this. My closing thoughts, and I'm going to get to you, then we're going to move on from this disgusting subject. This is the worst loss that I remember since the Clemson loss. And before that was the 48-0 loss to Virginia in the last game in the history of the Orange Bowl, right? I don't think we need to play at Marlins Park anymore. It's cursed for us. We tore it down, and the energy there has betrayed us now. All the greats that played in that field, their spirits still linger there. The Sean Taylors, the Brian Pottas, the Chris Campbells, the Marlon Barnes, you know. All those guys, the Al Blades. Their energy was in that building tonight, and we disgraced them.
I will say Michael Irvin and Ray Lewis had me kind of hyped up in the beginning of this game.
Me too.
I'll wait and hear what they got to say after this game, but it is what it is, man.
Michael's doing coke right now in the fucking bathroom. I wish I was there too. Wish I was doing coke with him. Here I am though, not doing coke. Just sad.
Venting.
Mike's doing coke off a stripper's ass right now, and that's why I like Mike.
Damn, Miami. So
Ray's probably stabbing somebody. That's fucked up.
Oh my gosh.
I made that joke. Ray was acquitted of all charges and was innocent. For all you haters out there, acquitted of murder. Not a murderer. A decent human being who spent more hours doing community service than the general population. You know what I mean? Like, no one does more for the community than Ray. Ray's a great guy. Acquitted of all charges. But maybe killing somebody right now. In anger.
In anger. Oh, man. What's next here, man?
Okay, moving on.
Watchmen?
Scoop-a-doop-doop-a-doop. This is the moving on music. Ba-doop-a-doop. Ding. Now we're moving on to The Watchmen.
The Watchmen.
The new series on HBO, which is really great if you haven't seen it. This is just part of our show. We're just going to move on to subjects that we like. And we don't care if you really like it or not. We're going to talk about what we're into. That's what we do for fun. You can either watch this or not. Here's to you, though. You, the listener. You're right there watching us.
So the Watchmen, this show, this series is dope. Thank you for putting me on to it.
You're welcome.
I went and purchased that package to watch this show, and I have been pleasantly surprised about what I've seen them do with this movie turned series. The joint is kind of deep.
The first episode when they start off with the Black Wall Street bombing,
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
So that right there is something that, like, your history books in school as a kid, because listen, like, I'm not going to try and make this a whole thing, but it is a whole thing, so I'm going to break it down as quickly and efficiently as I can. Most textbooks were written by affluent white individuals who want to cover up the atrocities done to the black Americans in this country and have been done for a long time, right?
Right.
So you don't hear about Black Wall Street because it's like a stain on the history of America because it's disgusting.
It was American terrorism.
It's fucking domestic terrorism done by white people to black people. That's the fucking cut and dry version of it. It was terrorism on black people from white people. So, yes. And it happened. Look it up, dude. And there's numerous other instances. We're not going to get into them all, but Philadelphia in 86, when they dropped fire bombs, was it 86?
Shit.
Do you know about that one?
I don't. I need to.
I'm woke. Stay woke, bro. You need to get woke, bro. Listen. In the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, there was an incident in Philadelphia where literally police officers were flying helicopters and dropping firebombs on projects.
Oh, shit.
In Philadelphia, killing people, right? It was a huge incident, huge deal. Covered up. You don't hear about it anymore.
Nah.
But Black Wall Street was much bigger than that. Black Wall Street, so this Philadelphia thing I was talking about in 86, that was maybe 5, 10 people died, which is fucking horrible. Nobody should have died, right? But Black Wall Street in Tulsa was thousands of people. I mean, almost the whole town was massacred by white people. Because these were affluent blacks.
Right.
In the early part of the century, these were affluent, wealthy blacks who had made a very strong community that was prosperous and developing. Tulsa, Oklahoma. I mean, we can look all this shit up. We're not making this up.
This is facts.
And the Watchmen start their series off with this incident, and then they build a storyline off it, which to me, okay, so number one, what's the hot button issue in America right now is race, right?
That's right.
Right? You have your police brutality. You have your certain things are going on in our society right now, and it's what we talk about on a day. I mean, real people talk about this. Real people who aren't racist.
Right.
We talk about this a lot. You know what I mean? This is what we discuss, and
as you should.
As you should. I am white, or he is black. I am white. I have vision, and you lack sight. What was it from Saturday Night Live? Ebony and Ivory. Do you know what I'm talking about? You remember him? Do you remember?
This man right here is a historian, so I don't know. He be pulling shit.
Yeah, it was Eddie Murphy and the other guy. Anyway, but yeah, black people, white people. It's okay to hang out with
Chevy
each other.
Chase?
No, it was another guy. He actually wasn't that successful outside of the show. I can't remember his name. Okay. I'll probably, if I had my phone, I'd look it up, but we're using mine to record this. Anyway, it's cool for black people and white people to talk about stuff. You should do that with your friends. You should make friends outside of your race because everybody's really cool. People are cool, man.
That's right.
You should do that shit. But this show, man, it fucking, look at us. We're talking about it so passionately.
The joint
touches all the bases, dude. It hits all your buttons, man.
And
white and black. You know what I mean? The heroine of the show is Regina King. She plays a detective. She is a fucking good actress, dude. And she nails this role, man. I've only watched 4 episodes right now, right? And I'm in love with her. She is absolutely nailing this role. This is probably going to win her awards. It's so well written. It's so thought-provoking because it promotes an alternate reality in the future. Right. But all of the things that make it alternate, and this is what keeps it interesting, is all of the things that make it alternate are things that are going on right now that it's like the show was like, okay, here's an answer to this. So this is just one instance of this, okay? First episode, right? Guy pulls a guy over. Traffic stop. His firearm is locked in a robotic, a mechanical device in his vehicle that he has to call into the station when he feels threatened. He has to go back to his car, call in,
and get permission
to get it unlocked. Which, nowadays this police violence thing is going around, and I mean it's like they thought about that and they showed us how the world would be. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man, after watching it, there's definitely positives, negatives to it, but I have a friend who's a cop. And I was thinking about that today for some reason before I did this show, which is kind of weird. So let's say you're a cop and you walk up to the car and they just swerved into the middle lane and almost caused a wreck, and you're behind them and you pull them over, right? Well, you don't know what they're doing. They could be drunk, but they could be nervous too. They could be avoiding something. They could be that person in that car could be trying to get out of it. You don't know how desperate they are. So when you walk up to that window in the middle of the night, they could already have a firearm drawn on you and blast you, and you're scared when you walk up to the window. So walking up there naked with no burner, that's a no bueno.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, and that's life. That's their job every day, right?
Every day.
So you got to respect what they do for a living, but at the same time, once you have that firearm drawn, in my opinion, now I'm not a cop, okay? I'm just a fat dude who works and makes signs now, right? But I was in the military. All right. And I'm just gonna say this: like, if I drew my firearm on somebody, being as much firearm training as I got, I was a pretty good shot. Not the best shot. Not like I'm gonna hit the wings off a fly, but I can hit what I want to hit. And there's a time and place for everything. And even in the moment, even in the heat of the moment, when you're panicking and you feel like your life is in danger, right? If somebody's pointing a firearm at you, right, and they're gonna fire it, you gotta do what you gotta do. But if somebody's running away from you, you don't gotta shoot them in the back. You can shoot them in the leg,
Right.
and they're gonna live, and they're gonna go to court. They're gonna have their day in court, and it's gonna be fair. There's just certain things that you don't have to do
Right.
as a law enforcement officer where you can make the right choice. There's times when your life's in jeopardy. Your mind has to be trained to think that way. You have to, and that's on you. If you're not good enough at your job to make that split-second decision where you're either taking a life or saving a life, then maybe you don't need to be a law enforcement officer.
Right. I think that's what they're missing in law enforcement training. And also not really learning the environment that they're going to be in, because just because you see a black person in a hoodie and baggy jeans doesn't mean that they're a thug.
Yeah, don't let him fool you. He's been wearing a hoodie all night. Totally not a thug, just cold.
That's it.
Just cold. It's chilly outside. Wear a fucking hoodie. But look at him right now on camera. Not wearing one.
Right.
And he's black, scared.
Right.
Look what you did, America.
Look what y'all have done, man.
You disgust me.
Really.
Anyway, back to the Watchmen. I mean,
it's a dope show.
They throw shit out like that goes back to the original movie, which kind of excites me because I feel like we're gonna get a Dr. Manhattan appearance before. They keep bringing him up, man.
It's going to happen.
Yeah,
he's like God.
It's my new show. It's totally made up for Game of Thrones, which, I mean, Game of Thrones and Miami football, like, I don't know which one, like, goddamn, I want to do so many drugs right now. Like, the sentence I just said, it hurts me so bad, dude. I want to do all the drugs I can find right now because, goddamn, man.
No.
If you say it out loud, just say this out loud. Say, Miami just lost to FIU in football, and Game of Thrones ended the way that it did. And then you think about 2019, and you're like, God damn, dude, like, I'm over this shit. Like, I just want to be comatose until January 1st, man. Like, I'm over it, man. Oh my God, dude. Game of Thrones, trash. But anyway, yeah, Watchmen. We're moving off topic because we've been drinking and we're very emotional. We're normally much better than this.
It's okay.
Just bear with us, guys.